All right, we ready? Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to our very special Wix Editor workshop. Today we're going to be talking about ways you can transform the way your agency designs with Wix. Anthony, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
I can't see you. Will you make your video? There we go. There's Anthony. Anthony's going to be joining us and telling us a lot about this. Before we get going, Anthony, tell us a little bit about you and what your role at Wix is.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm actually head of training and development for partners. Previous to joining Wix, I was a top performing partner in the Wix marketplace. Did a really good job building sites for tons of small businesses.
We have a lot of people from all over. So it's really great to see this many people participating. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Anthony, there's a lot of participants, but in a nutshell, can you kind of go over what we should expect from this workshop and maybe some takeaways everyone should expect to sort of get from here?
Definitely. So I really want to dive into like the techniques for like using the Wix editor. Like this includes site colors, themed elements, best practices, as well as like using strips and grid lines to really just optimize that development time. Some really key takeaways for today are going to be just using strips, doing things that really just streamline your workflow, and ultimately using Wix to again just supercharge your business or your agency.
That's a lot. Where do we even start with that? And by the way, this is a live webinar. We're live. So if there are questions, please feel free to drop them. And towards the end, we'll have a little bit of a Q&A as well. So Anthony, where do we start? What's a good place to start with this?
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna, I know that we can all probably get a little bit of nature in our lives these days. So I'm gonna start kind of just building a site, around glamping, which is like a really nice outdoor activity involving like a luxury theme. I want to kind of just build that from scratch and just show everybody like some of the best practices, again, when you're building a website on Wix.
So you're going to make us a fake glamping site,
Yeah.
and we're just going to kind of see how you work. So, and we'll go over tips. That's great. So if we're going to build a site, where do we start? Where do we start?
Absolutely. So, I mean, you're going to start pretty much, in the editor. I mean, that's where, everything really comes to life. As you can see, I have tons of sites, right here where I've kind of started building, things for tons of different purposes. I'm going to just create a new site from scratch, actually. And we're going to just start off by clicking on the other option. And we're going to just click on choose a template. And as you can see here, there's just so many styles that you can take and choose from. Some of these have, pre-installed apps. Some of them don't. But we're actually going to go up top and just click on blank template. And we're going to start today building out from scratch using a blank canvas. And I'll click on edit and we'll jump right in. And again, like as you follow with me, just kind of focus on all the things I'm doing. Again, it's going to really just help, optimize your workflow and just streamline the entire process of development time. All right. I know some of you might have seen what the editor looks like, but I'm still going to kind of run through some of the options that we have here. So over on the left, you might notice that you have some options in the vertical menu here. So we have first off menus and pages. So I can add additional pages right to my site pretty easily by clicking on add. Right below that, I have a place where I can change my background. In Wix, a background could be a color, an image, or a video. Right below that, you're going to have options. The add button is pretty much going to be your best friend. Like no matter what you want to add, it could be something simple like text or something more complex like an actual native app from the app market. You can add that right onto your canvas. Then down below, you have the app market itself. So you'll find tons of Wix native apps as well as third-party apps as well. Things that again will just really give your site some additional functionality.
So
Right.
what are you looking at here? This is the add app.
Correct. Yep. So this is the app market. So you actually be able to go in here. And if I'm looking for something cool, like today, we're going to add some booking functionality. I can just click on bookings and just like that, I have tons of options here. Some of them are going to be third parties. Some of them are going to be native Wix apps. Either or, I can add it to my site and get that immediate, boost in functionality.
So if it's a Wix app, it's clear here because I believe I see it says by Wix, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
I only wanted to see apps that were by Wix, which are the ones that we support the best and the most. You can kind of click here and see all of the different verticals that we have. So whether it be you trying to get like an online store, online, in the form of like a restaurant, we have that. If you got somebody trying to be an up-and-coming artist, we got a music solution as well. So again, tons of different, verticals here that you can just easily click and add, and just like that, your site becomes more dynamic. All right. And then down below, you also have some additional options here for media. We'll talk about this as we build. I mean, tons of sources, whether it be, media that you want to actually upload, or whether it be, from a source like Facebook or Instagram or Google Photos, we have that as well as like some free options from Wix and Shutterstock options as well. All right. And then down below, you'll see some of our top apps, shortcuts. We have the blog, and we also have a shortcut, to add booking capabilities as well. All right. Up top, you're also going to notice that you have an option to switch over to the mobile. We're going to really dive into the mobile a lot. I know some of you have questions about, how to really optimize your site the best, with mobile in mind. And we're going to talk about that, being that, again, 80% of users are going to go, to your site from a mobile device. Up top, you're going to see some options here as well. One of the things I want to highlight here are going to be the get feedback tool. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. We kind of dive into like the handoff process and how it works. But in a nutshell, kind of like getting feedback is going to be a really cool way to just get some feedback and some comments from any clients that you want to send that site out to once you're done. In settings, you'll find tons of really cool shortcuts. One thing I really like about the settings part is going to be the accessibility option too. Keeping those sites accessible is a key thing, as well as being able to go to your dashboard really quickly. But as you can see here, tons of options to explore. Underneath tools, we're going to be in here a lot today. A really good best practice is to kind of use that toolbar, like as you build, you'll notice that the toolbar is already enabled here on my right-hand side. Options to copy, paste, duplicate, rotate, change the angle, resize elements more precisely than just a drag and drop feature. So really cool things that you can do here to, again, make things more precise. If you ever want to dive into, building out some cool custom code, you have an option here by turning on dev mode. The really cool help section here will have some nice keyboard shortcuts for you if you want to, again, just maybe make that process quicker as you build. Over on the right, the option to undo, to redo, save, preview, and then publish. All right, so I know it seems like a lot, there's lots of options, but as I build, I'm going to kind of try my best to really explain how all of this works, so you'll have a really good understanding of the Wix Editor today.
Now, Anthony, it seems that you've sort of given us a brief sort of overview of what we would find inside of the editor. And I think this is really fantastic. So if we're going to build a site, what's the next, where do we start?
Absolutely. So, I think in Wix, like one of the things that we like to say is it always starts with a strip, right? Especially when you're using the classic editor that you see right here. So we're going to talk about strips. Before I dive into that, I really want to talk a little bit about the grid lines that you see. When I first started using Wix, 10 years ago, and I built my first website, I would come in here and I would feel like I was limited to, having to build within these like, grid lines that are only about 980 pixels in width. And, I really want you guys to understand that we could really, break outside that boundary. We're not limited by the grid lines that you see here. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Before I do, just a quick overview of.
Real quick, Anthony, so not everybody's connection may be perfect, so that you may come in and out. So if you can just slow down just a touch, make sure everybody's connection's caught up, because I want to make sure everybody can hear you clearly, because this is incredibly good information.
You got it. All right, so we're going to start just kind of explain the structure, of what you see here today. So up top, we have the header, right? And then of course, anything that you put in that header is going to be on every single page, right? So just think, anytime I see orange grid lines, like that's going to be sticky from page to page. Same for the header. Anything I put in the same for the footer. Everything I put in the footer is going to be on every single page. In between, we have the content area, and whatever I put within these blue lines are going to be pretty much only specific to that one page. Now we do have options to go and just say, okay, for this page, maybe I don't want to have a header or a footer, and you would find that under page settings, which you can go into manage pages and see an option pretty handy that you can easily kind of use to kind of toggle that layout, to have no header or no footer. Okay, so that if you want to make like a really nice landing page that kind of says enter now, that's the way to do that. Okay. All right, but before I dive into the site, again, today we're going to be building a site around glamping. Again, I think that we can all get a touch of nature, and this will be a good way to kind of teach you guys how to use Wix the best way. All right.
I'm missing some nature right now.
I know, me too. I've been stuck in. I want to get out.
Let's at least do it on a beautiful Wix page.
Let's do it. Okay. All right, so let's go over to that handy add button that I spoke about. And we're going to start by just adding a strip. All right, now you'll notice that there's tons of different presets that you can choose from. Some of them are going to be with contact sections, about sections for your team. But I'm going to teach you again how to build everything from scratch. When I started building on Wix, I was kind of intimidated to use it from scratch, but it's really nice and actually gives you more freedom to build whatever you want. So I'm going to click on Classic. I'm going to go down below where I see the two blank presets here, and I'm going to choose the black one, and we're going to fully customize it. Now, if I just click it, it'll just kind of add it right to my canvas right away, just keeping no space in between that header and that content area, which is super cool. Now, if I need a bigger header, no problem. I just drag it down and just like that, have a bigger section. All right, and then down below, my footer is still in place. All right. So now the first thing I'll do is I'll just click on the strip. Now, I happen to know like how how much of a big fold I want. So I'm actually going to make this about 940 pixels in height, and I'm doing this again by the toolbar. And if you ever don't see the toolbar, then just go up top, click on tools, and enable it. It's that simple. So I'm going to click back to my strip here. And what I'm going to do first off is just kind of change the strip background out. for an image. And by the way, again, this could be a color or a video, but I'm going to happen to add an image today. All right. I can get this from my site media, or I can even upload it. So I'm actually going to upload it today just to show you how simple it is. Okay. Go right to my dashboard here. And I'm just going to pull in here. Cool. One that I put together. I'll add that right on. Give that a couple seconds. And again, these images can come from several sources, not just my computer. It could come from Facebook, Instagram, the list goes on. And just click on upload media and you can see all the options right here. Again, so if a client likes to dump files into a Google Drive for you, then we have that system for you to get those in really quick.
So from here, you can connect to a Google Drive. Is that correct?
Absolutely. As long as that folder is shared with you, you'll be able to access it. Absolutely.
So as a partner, I just want to make sure I understand this. As a partner, if a client gives me a link to their Google Drive with all of their logos, maybe some proprietary photos or some special photos that they have, they can share a Google Drive and you can connect to it right there?
Exactly. Yeah. That could also be Dropbox as well. So it's not limiting you to any one type of option. We have clients come from different, tech levels and backgrounds, and it's really cool to adapt to the way that they do things. And sometimes when, especially closing a deal, that could be a deal breaker, right? Like if you can't say, yeah, I'll take those images out of Google Drive, you might not get that project. So again, Wix is really adapting around what US partners need to really build efficiently.
Right? Great.
All right, so I'm going to click this image that I uploaded here, and I'm going to change that background to my strip, and just notice that again it just takes up that whole entire strip, from top to bottom. Now we're talking about, again, breaking those boundaries. And the reason why I chose this image is because, you might notice that we do have grid lines that we still have to respect, right? And in any environment in Wix, grid lines are something that you must not exceed. So it's very important to make sure that the image that you add, is again, the primary content or the focal point of the image must remain inside of the grid lines, no matter how you align it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that, for example, you wanted to make sure that nothing appeared to be cut off, right? Now, you might think by using this strip and by looking at it right now that, okay, something's going to be cut off. This tent is going to be cut down the middle because of the grid line that cuts right through it. That's not accurate. What you can actually do is go into layout and just align this more to the left, right? So now what this means is that 980, width that we were talking about in terms of the viewable area is now shifted to the left, which is meaning that everybody's going to see the content between the furthest point to the left and the right dotted grid line, right? Now that could be very useful, depending on what you're trying to build. And
Anthony,
know how to execute that.
Anthony, I want to stop you for 2 seconds. We're already getting a lot of questions, and we're specifically, there's two things. I think maybe there's a little buffer if we could slow down just a touch. And two, there were a lot of questions when you were pointing that you were importing a picture.
Okay.
There were a couple questions. One of the, and it's about optimizing the images. So one question was, when you're using an external source such as Google Drive or Dropbox and you import it into your site, does Wix optimize that image?
Yeah, so automatically any image that you upload is already converted to a WebP format. We also sometimes will optimize that image to, again, just make it more efficiently and load that a little bit better, for speed purposes as well too. If the image is just too large, then of course we won't upload it because we do have a limit to the size of each image that you do upload, but we do our own, optimization when you do upload that image as well. We won't ever like compress it to a point where it won't be like a good quality, but it may sometimes be, a little bit, adjusted, for speed purposes in mind.
Perfect. That was several people asked that, and I just wanted to throw that out there. So thank you. Let's continue. Sorry, that was just a great question.
No, for sure. Like that's one of my biggest questions that I get from partners today as well. So I'm glad we were able to answer that. All right. So as you can see here, we have that image looking pretty nice in the strip. I'm going to probably want to put some text on here a little bit later on. So I'm thinking I might go ahead and just maybe change up, some settings here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the opacity. And I'm actually going to set this up to be a different tone. But actually, none of these are the colors I actually want here, because let's pretend that, let's say your client says, look, I have an exact style guide that I want to use as I build, right? What can you do? Well, you can go to any place where you can change the color. You can click on site colors and we can actually update these one by one. So I actually know like which ones I'm going to use for today. So I'm just going to put these in here. All right, and as you can see here, they just automatically kind of update super easily. So I'm going to be using that one. I'm also going to be using white. And I'm also going to be using like a really nice version of a charcoal gray. Right. And the last green color is not a part of my palette, but I may use it at some point as an accent color for like maybe like a call to action button at some point. All right, so now we have our colors set up. So let's talk a little bit about site colors and the importance of this and why it's such a big deal. The reason why, again, a client might first off just say, here's my style guide. You know, I need to use these colors, like don't go against them, like stick with my branding. First thing you do before you begin to design anything is make sure that you can go into your color section, and you can find that by going over into background, into color, and then under color, you can find site colors. All right, and the first thing to do is just, again, update every single one that you see here to the colors that you're gonna be using as you build the site. That will just keep everything super consistent and save you time. So you won't have to actually go and physically change the color for every element. Should a client come back to you and say, look, I wanna update this, this, and this, you can just update it in one place. And every element that was, let's say, you know, chosen to be blue could be clicked on and edited. And I could change that to a different tone as you've seen before. All right, so again, just doing things like this really just speed up. And since I'm here, I'll just go again and reconfirm all the colors that I wanna use today. And again,
Now,
really the process.
can you only use 5 colors?
You can use more, but again, these are the ones that are going to be my most primary. A brand is most consistent when you have like 5 colors that you're using, you know, consistently. That keeps everything with a nice, you know, flow of continuity. You could use additional colors, but those would be down below in what we call the My Color section. All right.
So that was a question from Bobby. So you can use more than those colors, but for your site colors, it's 5, correct?
Exactly. That is right.
Okay. Great question. Great answer. Thanks, Anthony.
You got it. All right. All right, so now we're going to continue here. I think I got enough colors that I want to be using for today. So I'm going to go ahead and click back on my strip here, change the background, and I'll just click on my settings. And I want to have the color behind the image actually be one of these grays that I actually set up here. So I'm going to click on that gray. And again, just notice how I'm clicking from the color palette, not from down below in My Colors, all right? And I want the opacity on this one to be about 25, okay? Now I can adjust this. Maybe I want it to be black. No problem. I can just go and I can change it. And as you can see, it just automatically adjusts pretty nicely. Okay. So I can play with it and kind of see what I think would be best for a nice text overlay. And I think 40 might look pretty decent. And it's totally up to you. A strict design choice. All right. All right. So now I'm going to just kind of make some changes here. So again, I know I want my content that I'm going to add onto the strip to kind of be left aligned. So I'm going to click on my left alignment. And I'm going to go ahead and start adding in some custom text here. All right, and now we have all of these types of theme text, right? So the goal here is to make sure that, you know, no matter what you add, you have the ability to kind of, again, just speed up the process and not have to physically change something every single time you want to add a new type of text, right? So I'll click on my heading 1. And again, my grid lines are telling me that I can put this content anywhere from the far left to the dotted line over on this side. All right, so I'll just position that anywhere I want. I'll go into edit. And I'm going to make some changes, but I want you to kind of pay attention to this area right over here by the little eye. You're going to notice how it changes and gives me an option as I start to customize it. So I know I want this to be a size 60, and perhaps the client told me, look, use my font that I'm always using, Play Fair Display. So I click on that, and I want the color, because I'm on this darker background, to be white. And again, I'm pulling that white directly from my site colors. All right, once I do that, I'll go over and I'll save my theme. All right, and now if you notice, if I even delete this, you know, and say, great, I'll finish tomorrow, I'm tired for the day, I can go back to add, back to text, back to heading, and now that text is exactly how I want it to be. And it'll stay that way unless I change that theme again and update it. All right, so I happen to actually know, you know, which content I want here. So I'm gonna go and pull it from another source. So again, I'm just gonna do a quick copy paste and we'll be on our way. All right. So as you can see here, like it's pretty much the way I want it to be. It's still within my grid lines. I got it looking pretty good. Okay, and now I know I'm going to have some text that's going to fall right beneath. So I'm going to go back over to add, to text, and this time we're going to grab a paragraph, right? And you have 6 different heading types and 3 different paragraph types. So I'm going to grab my paragraph and pop it right beneath.
Here's a good question now, and I'm watching you design this, and Carol brings up a good point. You're dragging things outside of the line. Is that going to show for all views? Is this okay?
Absolutely. And the reason why is because I'm outside of the grid line of the canvas, but not in the strip. So again, everything that we do, we need to abide by the grid lines of the actual section that we're in, but not the entire page. So I'll show you an example. Right now, you'll notice how when I click inside of the strip, the grid lines are shifting, right? Because the grid lines in strips override the grid lines of the overall canvas. So although I'm like clicking the text and you might see those grid lines here, when I click in the strip, you can see that my content is still within the grid lines within that strip. Therefore, I'm safe. Now, if I built the same thing this exact way without a strip, then I wouldn't be able to click on the parent of that section and see that it was a part of a strip that was left aligned, if that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You got it. And just like I customized my heading 1, I also customized my paragraph 1 as well. And when I say all these like themes like paragraph 1, heading 1, I want to be very clear and let you know that these are not for SEO purposes, right? These are for theme purposes, for the style of your site. Down below, you'll find the heading tag section where you can actually alter how Google reads the content, from hierarchy perspective, like H1, H2, H3, H4, and so forth. And then you can actually use any type of definition for any paragraph using the P, right? So P's, P1, P2, P3 all falls under the P hierarchy structure for SEO purposes, all right? So again, it's, you update your theme for design, and then you go down and you change your heading tag specific to SEO, all right? And there we have that. And maybe I want to go and maybe add like a different type of element here. So maybe I'll go into decorative, I'll take a line, pop a line in. And again, as long as I stay within that grid line, I'm pretty good, right? And I want my site to be consistent. So again, I'm just gonna pull, I need to use my colors and my colors only. I'll use a lighter tone of the gray, and boom. And just like that, we have a really simple way to kind of build that, first section out. I haven't touched my header yet, but we'll do that in a bit. But I'm just gonna keep on customizing things up. Now, this is totally up to you now in terms of design choice, how you want things to look and how you want things to feel, all right? So next up, I'm gonna go in and just grab a button, all right? Third option down, I'm gonna use my theme button, and you'll see why later on. And just notice how when I first looked at this section, buttons weren't gray, but when I kind of updated my site colors and then chose the theme button, now it's gray, right? So just notice how the colors that we set really just are pulled from any app that we add later on in the future, which you'll see today when I add bookings as well, all right? So I'm just gonna resize my button here. I can do that manually. And I could also go in and start to customize my design. Now, it's very important that we set themes up, and I'm going to show you why. So here, if I go into text and I try to find, I can first off try to play and say, okay, what size should I want? What style do I want? But why should I do that when I already know, the style guide that I have? So I can actually go into font or into theme, and I can actually go and find the one for paragraph 1. It's going to pull the exact same text that I use for the paragraph. And just like that, I'm just making sure I'm consistent, right? Automatically. And next up, maybe my button needs to be a different color, right? Because it is a call to action. So I'm going to go in, I'll change that background color up. Okay. And instead of it saying button, maybe we'll have it say get started. All right. And again, just make it a little bit bigger. And there we go. All right. So look at how simple that was to build out a section. And again, this is going to be a full width, design. It's not going to really limit us to anything. We're going to be able to break outside those boundaries. People will see the content on the tablet, and they will see it on the mobile, and they will see it on the desktop. So I think that pretty much solves that. So as you can see,
that's really fantastic.
Yep. So as you can see, I was able to kind of like take, a section, from blank, customize it, build it the way I wanted it to be, customize it, set my themes up. And now when I want to use these same exact themes later on different parts of my site, they're already there to choose from. There's no need to rebuild it all over again and waste that unnecessary time, which again, just goes back into productivity, and you can monetize all your time. So, keep your eye on that. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do here is just maybe start to add a header. I want to give my header some life. I actually have a logo that I want to use. And I also know that I have some navigation I'm going to be wanting to implement today. So I'm going to go ahead first and just make sure that I make some space for the strip that I'm going to actually put into my header. And I know that might sound crazy, but it's actually a really good practice to make things, again, full width. I don't want to have a content area that's going to be full width and then my header is going to be like this, right? So I want to kind of, again, continue that full width in that page hierarchy. So I'm going to actually go over into add, and we're going to add a strip again. And this time it'll be under the classic section, and we'll go under the white preset, and I'll just take that strip and I'll paste it right above. All right, it's not in my header just yet because, again, blue, content area, orange, header. So I'm going to go in, I'll resize this. I'm going to use my tools in my toolbar to make this a certain size. I think I want this to be maybe 125 pixels, in height here. Right now, it's only going to be one strip. I want to make it a couple columns, so I'm going to drag that into my header. All right, and I'm going to close up the huge gap I have here. Now, I could just drag it, but if this was like a longer page and it took a long time to drag it, I could just zoom out. And when I zoom out, I get the option to delete that extra space, okay? And everything below is just what's in my header that I can just pull up. See that? Simple. All right, so what I'm going to do is go on my strip. I'm going to go to layouts, and I'm going to add some columns here. All right. not one, not two. We're gonna have three. All right, and next up, I'll just click and I'll change the proportions. All right, so I'm gonna have the one furthest to the left be about 20. Take some time to get it sometimes. It's like a game, Brett, trying to play around sometimes with this.
Yeah, it's like Frogger or something. So for everybody just tuning, for everybody watching and tuning in, what are you shaping here? Just so we know.
Yeah, so I'm actually making like the structure of my header.
Okay.
You know, and although I could just be kind of like putting, you know, content in and saying, okay, great, that's it. You know, that's not what's going to make people go, wow, when they see something. That's going to make them go, okay, it's a website. But I'm trying to show you how to really build things, you know, from a more professional standpoint. And again, get a result that you would get on platforms that you might be used to exactly in Wix the same exact way, you know, and using the best practice. Because we can always, the beauty of Wix is that you can do whatever you want. And I think that's also sometimes one of the biggest challenges, right? Is that you can do so much, but we can do sometimes so much of the wrong things. So I'm here to really just show you like the best ways to, you know, accomplish all of the same results that you're looking to get.
Yeah, and there are some incredible. I mean, there's a lot of engagement right now from our amazing viewers. And for example, like Nate wants to know, would you recommend building a site entirely on strips, or is there a reason not to use them for all of your content? When would you use strips?
I mean, you would use strips whenever you want to basically be in control of every single piece and section of how your content is divided based on the fold, right? So, and that's again, the best practice, right? Now you could add, for example, there's sites where maybe you just add the Wix Pro Gallery and you add an app and that's the website because the person's a photographer who wants to get booked for consultations. But if you're actually building out a nice site with like tons of design tricks, or you want to maybe add like a custom shape into a strip and change off the angle of the focal point, you might want to use a strip to be able to control and have more control over each exact section of the area. All right. So again, just as I build today, you'll start to see the benefits of using strips when we start to go into the mobile and you see the mobile optimization flow and the benefit of doing it versus just kind of putting content on the canvas. They're completely different things. So I'm sure you understand as we go along today more and more as to why we use strips.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I'm watching the chat. It's going pretty crazy, but Jonathan uses strips like crazy. One more question about the strips: are they more of a responsive element when you use a strip?
Yes, they actually are a responsive element. You know, in Wix, the platform today is identified as adaptive, and the tools on the classic editor are adaptive, but we do have responsive elements that we introduced after the initial inception of the product to make it more responsive and to behave in a more, you know, adaptive manner. Yeah.
That's great, man. We've got some fantastic questions. This is really. Let's keep going though. I know there's a lot more to cover, so we're writing all these questions. I'm trying to keep up with them, but yeah. Sorry, Anthony. This is great.
All right, you do it. Let's do it. All right, so cool. So I have this extra space here. So I want to explain, if you're just coming in now, what I just did. So I just built out a strip in my content area. In my header, I put a strip that had 3 different sections, and I'm going to customize each one of them. One with the logo, one with the menu, and one with some, you know, member login later on when we add bookings. But first off, you might see this extra space here. It's intentional, and I did it because I wanted to be able to customize what happens when I start to scroll down my page, because I have the strip that's inside of my header. And if I just kind of close this up, then I wouldn't have the opportunity to kind of go in and to modify the settings of the header, because I would be touching the strip, because I would take up 100% of that area. So I've actually made that space because I wanted to go in and customize some settings within that header background. Okay. So let me just kind of go here and we'll just drag this down a bit. All right. So I want to kind of keep that about right here. And in my header, I'll go ahead and just change up the settings here. I'll make it freeze, right? So that header is going to be frozen. And I'm also going to go in and change the design of my header, making it a color and making that color all white. All right, you'll notice why I do it later on. All right, and now I'll just close up the header here. And there we have it. 1, 2, 3. And if I scroll, when I preview, it sticks with me. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yep. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start customizing some stuff. So farther on the right here, I'm just going to change my common background to a color. I'll go with that tone. In the center, I'll leave it blank. I want my navigation to be on a very clean design. All right. And then over here, I'll just go ahead and I'll start to make some changes. So I'm going to go in and add an image. All right. And actually, again, I'm going to drop this right in from my computer. All right. I have a nice little logo I put together. And as you can see, super quick to get that uploaded, adding that to my page and just resizing that. And I'm just dragging that in from the corner.
There are a lot of questions about, will this be available offline? I believe it will. So it will be available.
Okay, and you can see here I got my logo positioned right there pretty nicely. All right, so let's talk about another tool. I'm gonna go back into my toolbar here. I wanna make sure that all my content is gonna be aligned to the logo camp. So what I'll do is I'll go into tools, I'll click on snap to objects, and just like that, I can make sure that the content is linking up with camp right above it. So I can move it over. Now I don't have to do this individually. I can also select multiple elements by holding shift and moving it over, okay? And then once I have everything set up, if I wanted to even group these elements to move them all at once, I can do the same thing, just holding shift and grouping them all together.
We have some great questions, and some of these, if we have time, Anthony, I would like to ask a favor towards the end. Some of these questions that our partners are asking, is it possible that maybe we can have a demonstration of some of these questions? Because I see a few that are really, really great. Would you be okay with that?
100%. Yep.
Okay, great. I think we should put some of those away towards the end. Sorry, keep going. This is great, though.
All right, you got it. All right, so as you can see, my header is almost done. The only thing missing is some navigation here. So I can actually, now what if I wanted to customize like the color of the background? I can do that too. I can go into change, make it a color, and make it a little bit lighter. Easy, right? Totally up to you. Again, that's a design choice. Right? I can kind of scroll and just like that, make something pretty nice. All right, now I want to show you something else too. So we broke the boundaries. We went outside of those grid lines that most people don't think we can do. And now what we can do is actually go in, to the options here and just kind of set up margin. So if I wanted to make this 20 pixels, from left to right, I'm kind of adding in that margin, not padding, but a margin. And then here, I'll do the same, making that 20 pixels, right? And that just kind of just builds up. A really nice, cool design from both sides. And we'll keep that consistent with every strip that we add. So again, back to that initial question that we got about strips, this is something that you couldn't do if you weren't using strips. You couldn't kind of break the boundary and then decide, okay, now where do I really want it to fall on the left and to the right? So another reason of why we use strips, okay? All right, I'm gonna add another section here. And now we're gonna just kind of go to add. I'm gonna happen to add another strip here. And I really want you guys to pay attention to what I'm doing here in this section. So I'm gonna go to classic, we'll pull in, like a white one, have that fall right below. And now we have our second section here, right? And now we're gonna go into tools, toolbar, and I'm gonna make this, let's say about 940 pixels in height. All right, and what I wanna actually put here is a gallery. All right, so I'm gonna go to add, I'm gonna go to gallery, I'm gonna grab the Wix Pro gallery, and we're gonna put that right on the strip. Okay, that's all we need to do here. And now next, I can make it full width. All right, now this is again another example of another responsive element that we've introduced, to the classic editor and making the site more adaptive. So I can go ahead and stretch that to full width. And instead of changing the margin of like just this gallery, right, I can also just keep it regular and then change the margin of the actual strip itself.
And you're saying this is going to sort of be, it's going to be more adaptive, whether I'm on a small desktop or mobile or anything like that?
Exactly, right?
That's really awesome.
Yep, and then just notice how when I kind of change the margin of the strip, the gallery itself also kind of changed as well. So again, that's the reasons why we use strips. Everything kind of inherits what you put inside of it, provided that you do it in this order.
Well, that's a great question, and Tanja just actually asked a great question. Why are you adding margin? What's the advantage of adding a margin here?
I mean, I want to do it as a design choice, right? You might want to keep it full screen. I'm adding a margin because I did want it to have a little bit of white space, but I didn't want it to be as narrow as the page structure, right? Because this doesn't look that great as having it full width, but I also did want to still take some advantage of, having some white, margin on the right and to the left of it. So again, I kind of went and I broke the boundary, and then I told Wix, actually, I want to just give it 20 pixels instead of what you would have gave me if I didn't use a strip, and that's the control that you have when you use a strip. Okay.
Awesome. That's great. That's a great question, Tanja. Thank you. And Anthony, thank you for grabbing that.
You got it. All right. So as you can see here, I'm going to go into manage my media, and I'm going to just go ahead and select all of these and we'll delete them. And one key thing about the Wix Pro gallery is that it's not only for images. You can also add, text, and you can also add video as well. So I'm going to click on add media here.
Can you add SVG files?
You cannot add SVG files to a Wix Pro gallery. You would have to add the vector first and then replace the vector with your own SVG. Yeah.
So it's possible to do it, but that's the process, right? Because that was a question. I'm just curious.
Correct. Yep.
Great.
All right. And now here, what I'll do is I'll just maybe type in, I'm in now my unsplash option on the left-hand side. I'm going to look at some glamping.
By the way, Sean says he loves that he saw this. He wish he had seen it before. It took him forever to figure out the margin. So that little tip was really awesome. He said, thanks.
It took me a long time too. It actually took me, out of the 10 years I used Wix, maybe a few to figure it out. So I'm glad I'm able to catch you guys first couple sites in.
Well, Latoya's enjoying the webinar, and that makes me happy. So I'm glad, Latoya.
Awesome. All right, and as you can see, I just kind of replaced everything that I have, and while I'm doing this, I'll maybe even go into settings and I'll change up the style. So what's really awesome about the Wix Pro Gallery is that I can change the layouts pretty nicely here. I'm just going to go ahead and customize this. I think I want maybe 4 images per row, not 2, not 3, but 4. There we go. And again, look how just nice it just sits on top of that, strip, right? Like super clean. I really can control everything I'm doing here. And again, just really mixed for a really simple, design structure. All right. I'm going to actually use the drag handle. So this is, again, very important. So I'm using the drag handle because I want to make space to put a title within this section. If I just drag this, it's going to just overlap the strip, and that's not good. You see that? It's not going to actually be on that strip.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, I'm going to drag it. I'm going to make that space on that strip. Now, that space is still on that strip, and I can add like a cool title right here. All right, so that's why I'm going to go back over and grab some text. All right, so now this is very important too. This was my first heading that I added, right? It was a heading 1, it was white, it was a size 60, it was the same font that I'm going to be using today. However, I want to have a secondary option because I know that for contrast purposes, I'm going to want to have another version that's black, but I don't want to keep changing it to a different color every single time I add it. So I'm going to go over to add. I'm going to go to text, and I'm going to grab heading 2. I'm going to place it right on my strip. All right, and I'm going to start customizing this again, but this time I think I want the color to be black for my site colors, or maybe even like a nice darker gray. Let's do that one. And I will change this up to the same font that I'm using before, and I will go ahead and save that theme. All right, now just like that, every single time that I'm adding a heading 2, it's going to pull this exact styling, which is going to be ideal for whenever I'm using like a really nice white background. All right, and then I can close it up. All right, so I can just say glamping, and boom, there we go. All right, another option could be the same thing if I wanted to add also like some additional text right below it. Again, I can just click on it, drag. I'm going to go over to add, and this time I'll go over into text. I'll pull in the second paragraph type. I'll go in, customize this, change the size to about 20, change this to rebuttal thin, and we'll go ahead and we'll save that theme. And boom, there we go. All right, and I can maybe pretty much customize that text with whatever I want. Change the size of the text box, drag it back up. I want some additional spaces. All right, and there we go here. So again, super clean. The ability to kind of add these sections in really nicely, and you get a really nice result, when it's all done. All right. So I know, Brett, you might be getting some questions coming in. So, let me know, whatever kind of questions that come in. I think this is
there's a lot. there's a lot. And Daisy asked a good question. Are all these features, and I answered it, but I'll ask it, are all these features available for all sites, or are these what you're doing within the editor locked to a specific premium? So for example, if I'm making a new site for a potential client or a client, do I have to pay before I have these features, or are they all unlocked already?
No, absolutely. You can kind of go in and just start to build everything. I think, well, that's another beautiful thing about Wix is that, if you go to like, certain other platforms, you might have to, kind of upgrade before you can even add a certain number of static pages, right? But in Wix, you can practically build out the entire site, from A to Z. And the only time you would have to really upgrade is if you wanted to see some real payment take place, or a transaction. So I think it's really beautiful that you can just kind of jump in and build whatever you want, and again, limits,
Sure. And I'll just grab one more. There's such great questions and comments, and there's a lot of people asking questions and other people are answering them. But Bobby asked a great question. What are the SEO implications with setting H2 versus H1? And Bobby, I'll answer your other question. Yes, you can import other fonts, but what's the implications between H1 and H2, Anthony?
I mean, so your H1 is going to be your primary heading, right? Like the one that Google's going to look at as the most prominent. And then your H2 is going to be a supporting text to that H1. You can actually build out a hierarchy of up to, H1 all the way up to down, or still up to a priority of H6. So you can actually build, if I go back into what I was showing earlier on, and I could go in here and just kind of put in, again, H1 all the way down to H6, right? Defining that priority is super, super important in Wix, and we make it simple to be able to do that.
It's a great answer. Thank you. And thank you for asking that, Bobby. Okay, go ahead, Anthony.
All right, here we go. So again, we got a beautiful gallery here. We got some dogs in the pictures. That's amazing. Always cool to have that. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to continue out. But this time I'm going to actually add some navigation because I want you to start seeing how this menu is going to form and how everything starts to come together before I build out my last fold and then eventually my footer. So we're going to start by going over to add. I'm going to add a menu. Under menu, we'll see that we have tons of options. And again, just notice how it kind of pulls in all of the exact same themes that you have from before. So I'm going to pull that right into my header. Okay, and within my header, I have grid lines, right, for that center section. So I'm just going to go ahead and just pop that in, making sure my content stays in place. And then now I want to make sure that my fonts are consistent. So I can go into customize. I can go to text. I can pull in my theme text, and I'll use my paragraph 1. Okay, and just like that, now my menu is starting to come to life, almost. All right. The next thing I want to dive into, I know we had a question at some point about anchors and what they are, so I want to use them. So I want to go over into add. In menu, I'll also find a section called anchors, and I'll be able to add in an anchor. I just drag it and drop it to the point of the page in which I want the top of the fold to rest on. Okay, and I'll rename this my gallery.
So by the way, it took me forever to find that.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. and just seeing you do it, had I watched this before I started designing,
yeah,
that would have saved me. So just like with the other things you were talking about that helped her. I wish I had seen this. It was so easy once I knew where it was, though. So,
exactly.
so that's an anchor. Do that one more time. We need to touch that one more time, just for me,
yeah.
Anthony.
All right, cool. I got it. So we went over to add. I went down to menu. All right, underneath all the menu options that you have, click on anchor, and you just literally take the cool anchor and you just drag it and you place it wherever you want.
Easy peasy.
You rename it so you can easily identify what it is when you want to link it up. Super cool. So right now we got our first one, and it's called gallery. Now, what if I wanted to actually make this a clickable link in the menu? I can just go, over to manage pages. I'll click on add a link, and I'm going to say that on my home page I have an anchor, and the anchor is called gallery, and I want to add that. And once I do, you'll see new link pop up. I'll say gallery. I'll click on done, and now boom, there it is. Super simple. All right. First fold,
very nice.
Fold, done. All right. And now one other really cool tool as well, like you saw me kind of build out, everything on the strip today. But if you also like start to build the same design over and over, and you start building it over and over, you can actually like start to save these designs. So anything I build is as simple as just doing a right click, clicking on save to my designs. And I could just say, cool welcome strip, right? And now on my next site, if somebody wants a similar style, cool, I have a welcome strip saved in my design. So I'm going to show you what that's in a second. All right, and now the last thing I'm going to add is going to be my contact section. So if I go over to add, really easy, I go to my designs and look at that. I got my welcome strip here. I got some other stuff that I fooled around with, and I have a really nice cool contact section that I'm going to use today for the glamping website. So I'm going to click it, and just like that, and we'll be able to add it directly to our page, and then further customize it, once we get everything imported in. So again, just really speeds up the development time, really, again, just adds things that allows you to, just build a little bit quicker. And just like that, I get it onto my page, I customize it, I drag it to keep, everything kind of underneath it. And just like that, super simple. And
Kirby has a great point here. Talking about this is a great feature to save your design as a template. Great idea. Great idea.
Yep. In addition to, while we're on that topic, I mean, you could also kind of like copy, one page to another site. You can also copy, an entire element from one site to another too. But if you wanted to sit and practically just design, 20 or 30 different styles of strips, you can do that and then easily just import them and build out sites that are still custom, but are very specific to the way that you build with your theme that you like to build with. So I think it's really important to be able to, showcase that, and build it really efficiently.
Very good.
So as you can see, I just saved myself some time. I even pulled in the margins as well on this particular fold here. And I'm going to go in now and just maybe add a cool contact form. So I'm going to go over to add. I'll find contact and forms. And I'm going to take my contact form here and I'll drag that right onto my strip and put that right beneath my title. Okay. So look how easy all of that was. Like it didn't take as much time to really get into this and just start customizing it. If I wanted to then center out, this, contact box, I go into tools, I click on the toolbar, and I could then center, everything up really nicely. Now, of course, you might notice that this is not my styling that I'm keeping. So I'll just go in, I'll click on edit, and I'll be able to just kind of find the theme that I want to use for each of those sections. So for this one, it'll be my heading 1, which I can go and I can modify easily. And as you can see here, it just changes everything up pretty nicely. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of just play around with this. I'll customize it. And then I also want to kind of show you some things that you can do in forms as well. But let's first go into design and just get this, looking like the rest of the site. All right, so first I'll go into text. I'll scroll down to my placeholder text and I'll use my theme that I'm using for my paragraph 1. And I'll put that right in place. Next, I already have a button that I've been using and I want to be consistent with that. So I'll go ahead and I'll use that button as well. And just like that, we've customized it. Maybe I want to have success text. I can show you some other options as well, but I'll put my success text when the message gets submitted right below, and perhaps even center that as well as within the text box. Okay, and my submit button will kind of be right here. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the things that you can do on the form itself. So the first thing is I can go into my layouts and I can make sure that I'm choosing a layout to be either 1 column or 2 columns. I'll keep it on 1 column and maybe even add some spacing in pixels between each one, or I can keep it back to 2. Up to you, and then also control the spacing between the columns here as well. So maybe I'll make that 10. All right, and now we start to have like a really nice section. Another trick too is if I wanted to also make sure that the horizontal spacing was also the same, or the vertical spacing, I could also just kind of like center it right underneath what I want. I can do Shift, one of my keyboard shortcuts, click down once, and that's 10 pixels that it moved down. So now I know it's 10 pixels between, and also between each row. So again, super cool stuff that you can do here.
Now that's a neat tip. I didn't know that. And it probably would have taken me another 6 years to figure it out. Say that one more time.
Yep, so if you want to just click any element, you ever have like several things on a page and you want it to be the exact same amount of distance from one another? You can just kind of click it, hit Shift down, and every time you do that in any direction, it actually moves it 10
So
pixels.
you click it, you're holding the Shift key and you're pressing up and down.
Exactly.
By default, that's 10 pixels.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's
probably
another nugget of gold there.
Yeah, you also have options to kind of distribute elements evenly over here as well. So if you like grab a ton of buttons and you want them to be, again, the same amount of distance between each other, you can also do that as well using the toolbar, which I'm happy to show. So as you can see here, tons of options. Like I can literally dive into this all day. I mean, options are endless with any feature in Wix that you really want to customize. I want to highlight some of the things here that I know, Brett, you might have known, or not, maybe I don't know. So you can kind of click on, recommended, tons of different fields that you can add in. Most of them are pretty simple in this category. Text is also pretty straightforward here.
Quick question. Before we jump, I have 2 follow-ups to that neat trick you just told us about the Shift button.
Yep.
Is it always set to 10 pixels or can I go in and change my default?
It is always set to 10 pixels.
Okay. Is it the same on Mac and PC?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So that was a great answer for Eric and Daisy. Awesome. Thanks, Anthony.
You got it. All right, so as you can see, I'm just kind of going through all the different types of fields that you can add into a form. We kind of dove into the recommended ones, and now we're going into the number option, which is simple as that, a number. Selection types, you have radio buttons, checkboxes, multi-checkbox fields, drop-downs, rating fields, subscriber opt-ins, which are great for like GDPR purposes, especially in Europe. Down below, you also have, date and time, upload buttons, which are super important. Maybe you want to make a form that people can submit their content to, you can do that as well. You can also go in and add an opt-in as well here and a reCAPTCHA. Recently on my personal website, I was getting tons of spam. I added this reCAPTCHA, which is a free feature, and immediately got less responses from people who didn't really need my business or my help. So like things that you can do just to kind of like, again, just, save yourself some time and prevent some angry emails from clients.
We don't like those.
Oh, no. All right. And then the very last option here, which I think is probably the most cool feature about the form, is the signature field. So I can practically have somebody make a really cool like signature option, or like, it's just the possibilities with this form builder is like endless. Like I can do a lot of things, build it the way I want it to be, make it the way I want it to look. And as you can see, it doesn't take very long to get it customized and looking the right way.
So I want to add I want to touch on something. And if you go back to adding something to that form, I see this a lot from our partners in the specifically in our community, the reCAPTCHA. Okay, this is I see a lot of questions where people see or receive spam from their forms. For those who don't know, Anthony, what is the reCAPTCHA, and show us again how to get to it and why would we turn this on? I think that's worth mentioning.
So the reCAPTCHA is actually a tool that's basically making sure it's analyzing your IP actually, and also kind of looking at your actions that you take and making sure you're not a robot. So like things that could like spark you as a person who's not a human could be like multiple failed attempts, not using actual keyboard in the US, like things like that based on your geographical location control like whether you're gonna get authenticated or rejected, right? So the way we add it in is we pretty much just click on forms as a whole. We click on add a new field. We go down to reCAPTCHA and we just click add. I mean, it's that simple, and we now have it.
That's great. And I think this is, at this day and age, probably a must.
Definitely. This is super, super important. I mean, I know some people might be like, oh, I don't want to click the card 1,000 times. It happens to me. I even get it wrong a lot, but it saves the spam,
Oh, absolutely.
Super cool stuff. All right, so again, we kind of sat here today and we kind of built out like, 3 folds of a site. And I wanted to kind of show you also something pretty cool too. So up top, I kind of went and I set up, a header earlier using 3 different strips, right? Or 3 different columns in a strip. So what I want to do is kind of like just show you how I can take the same design and apply it to the footer by just a quick duplicate, which you can do by hitting on Control or Command D. Once you have it duplicated, we'll grab it. Hold on one second. All right, and I'm just going to drag it literally down. There's a couple options to do this. I could also kind of go in to zoom out and reorder and also decide to move it down. Because it's a little bit smaller and it's on top of a strip, I'm using this option. But I'm going to drag it down because I want to have that same exact design over in my footer. And I'll just go ahead and move that to the footer, and just like that, that same design is in my footer. Now once it is, I can go in, I can manage it, and I can kind of move it over. All right, and I'll move this one over as well. All right, so now I just kind of flip the order and the positioning of it. And just like that, we have the same type of mirrored navigation between both the header and the footer. All right, and I'll do my last anchor here for those who are just joining in. I'm going to also just add this last piece.
What did you do to zoom out and reorder? You went really quickly. Rachel wants to know that.
Okay, Rachel. So I clicked on zoom out and reorder, the option to the left of undo, and then I was able to kind of like move things around. The client was like, what, I think that contact form is just a little bit too far down on the page. I want it to be before the gallery. Okay, cool. I just shift it. And just like that, now the reservation is here. But I kind of like, I don't know about you, Brett, but I kind of liked it the other way.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the eye, my friend, and Rachel says thank you.
Awesome, you got it. All right, so now we have it set up here, and then again, I want that contact, option to be very, very obvious. So I'm going to go ahead and just add, another option for my anchor in menu, anchor. Grab the anchor, pop it in. All right, I'm going to rename this to contact. And just like that, I'll go up, manage my pages, add a link. That page is going to be contact. All right. And now I can easily just move the order of them, right? Maybe even change the page transition. If I want it to be out in, nice little cool transition, horizontal, vertical, a crossfade. But as you can see here, I mean, we really just pretty nailed that in pretty nicely. All right, so we built some functionality, but I think the goal of this website, beyond just building and making it look good, is to make it work. And I think in Wix, there's tons of ways that we can add, additional functionality. And we're gonna look into that app market now and see what we can do. So Brett, I'm thinking of adding like a way to maybe get some bookings, right? I think that's a key thing.
I think that's a fantastic app.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go to add app here. So it's gonna be the option right below the ad. We're gonna just see what we have for booking options. Okay, so the first option I see is gonna be Wix bookings, and I think this will allow me to schedule my platform and schedule and online bookings. So this is perfect.
While you do this, here's a great question that Sue asks, and I really, this is great. On your page where you have the gallery, the contact, and things on your main page, why would you do it that way instead of giving each of those its own page? Why did you design it that way, Anthony?
Yeah, so I built it this way because I think that it's pretty much like undisputable, right? That people are going to want to go somewhere today. So I thought it would be, really simple to just have it on one page, just really simple, really easy to navigate. And I also know that most of my visitors are going to be on mobile, and I want to give them a really good experience without having to go from page to page. And I also know that maybe this client doesn't really have a huge dependency on SEO, so they don't need to really build out, multiple pages that would have individualized metadata, right? So that's why I built this one, in mind with a one-page style. But if I wanted to make each one unique, to each page, I could do that 100%. Yeah. All right, and as you can see here, I've kind of added bookings to my site.
By the way, thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. And Sue,
Yeah.
thank you for the question.
You got it. All right, as you can see here, I have bookings set up pretty nicely. My categories are in here. My text is actually also being pulled in with the same theme as I set before.
Well, let me ask you, I see colors here that we selected earlier. Why are these colors already here?
Yep, so I actually utilized my site colors from earlier. So when I added that app in, certain verticals are going to pull in. So when you talk about verticals, I'm talking about things that I add like Wix bookings, stores. You'll notice that it's going to pull any color that's going to be a part of your second column in your color palette, right? And typically it pulls in the centralized color right here. So this is the tone that it's using right now to build out the structure.
That makes a lot of sense. And thank you for that. So sorry, but that was a great tip there.
You got it. All right, and as you can see here, it's built out, pretty nicely. The last thing I want to do though is just maybe change up the consistency of the name of the page. So instead of having it lowercase, I'll rename that, and I can make it whatever name I want. By the way, I'm just gonna make it say book now because I'm a call to action kind of person. All right.
Now, so as you add this, it's adding it to your menu.
Mm-hmm.
So does it automatically add to a menu? And what if I wanted to hide that from the menu?
Yeah, if I wanted to actually hide this, I can go in, I can manage my pages. And just like I just showed, when I rename it, I could also go into the options here and I could just choose to hide it.
If I hide it, does that mean it's not accessible?
It won't be accessible through the menu, but I could make another link, maybe in my footer. I could add a button and put it in my header that says book now that gets to this page, because maybe you might not want it in your menu. Maybe you want your menu just to say, home, contact, and gallery. And I can have a call to action that kind of sits over here that'll say book now, that links into the book now page.
So hiding it doesn't mean you can't access the page. It just means it's not hot linked from the menu.
Exactly. Yep.
Perfect.
All right. If I wanted to maybe add some additional, pages that are kind of hardwired in, I can do that. And I can just kind of basically kind of nest them underneath other pages. So if I wanted to have this new page be a part of, a drop down from the main page, I can just literally, I'm not sure if you caught that, but I can just click it, make it a sub page. It'll nest right underneath. So if I preview it and I go to home, just like that, my new page is kind of sitting right below, and
that's
just like
awesome.
We built out a drop down menu. Mm-hmm.
I think the reason I asked that is there was a question about the menu earlier, and this was a perfect time to come back to it. So thanks for that, Anthony. That was a great tip.
You got it. All right. And then you might also have noticed that I have this little login bar that automatically came, once I added bookings, right? So let's talk about this. So basically, once I add any vertical, it's my option to have a login bar, but some of the reasons why I might want it is because it allows a user to pretty much see, any type of information related to any one of the apps on my site. So right now it says bookings. If I were to add a store, then I would go back and it would say my orders. If I had a blog, it would say my post. If I had a form, it would say my post. So it really just kind of gathers in, this mutually accessible API that kind of pulls in all the data from all the apps that you add and lets the user, whoever's logged in, see all their bookings and all of the information related to any vertical that's been installed on the website.
It personalizes the experience of the user on the site that's relevant to them.
Exactly.
It's really fantastic. And I know a lot of partners build those sites for their clients, and this is, this is their business. So it's important to give that personal touch to their customers. Fantastic. Okay. This is great, Anthony.
All right. Now we spoke about, pin to screen. We spoke about kind of like using strips and making it full width, right? We spoke about kind of adding, one strip and having like an alignment to the left or to the right. Now I want to talk a little bit about pinning an element and what it means. All right. So I want to kind of take this login bar that you saw kind of just pop up once I added bookings, and I want to just right click on it, and then I want to click on pin to screen. And what you're going to notice is now I have like these different preset positions that I can choose to put this icon. And I have this space right up here that kind of fits perfectly for this. So I'm just going to add this here. And then once I do that, I can just change like the offset of it horizontally and both vertically. All right. And I'm pretty good at eyeballing stuff. So boom, there we go. And now when I preview it, you know, and I start to scroll down, now there's my face, and now I can click on it and see my bookings that I have up and coming. You know, I can see, you know, my account just like that. I can change my information, you know, and again, we didn't code a thing, did we, Brett? I mean, this was just pretty much a
I
quick,
didn't see it unless you're
yeah.
some kind of a ninja. By the way, for those who are seeing this, this is the, go back to the profile view. That, by the way, that's new. That profile view that you went to, that's new. That's a new profile view.
It's pretty nice.
Looks great. Looks, and I love how it's pulled the colors again from your, directly from your template.
Yeah, man, I can also assign badges too, which is a really cool thing to do when you have a community and you start adding, you know, different features like the forum. All of these things, again, are something that's going to be mutually accessible to all the things you do. So again, I'm pretty sure by now people are starting to understand the true importance, you know, being able to assign those site colors before you start the design process. You know, imagine if I had to now go in, you know, and change everything up one by one. I mean, it would be a nightmare, I think, but
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to look really, except for the, you know, the book now that we hit on the menu, it's looking like a full-fledged website. And this did not take that long.
Nope, not at all. And I'm gonna keep that shown because I want to take some bookings. I think we need to make some money, so I'm gonna keep it visible.
There's several great questions. I know you know the answer to this, and I'm going to jump to this one right here. Jenny wants to know, how would you add logins if you had multiple blog writers?
Multiple blog writers.
So if you have guest blog, if you have that installed, which we don't have the blog installed with this exact example, Jenny, but just like Anthony was showing, you can actually give people blog writer access from your back end.
Yeah, you can make them a moderator, and they'll be able to, you know, basically create posts as well as moderate the community as well. And those are features that work not only on the blog but also in the Wix forum. You know, so if you wanted to have a community
Right.
as well as a blog, you know, you can do that as well pretty easily. So it's as simple as going in, and I'm pretty sure we'll have, you know, times where we dive deep into, you know, these other products, but for sure it's a possibility. Yeah.
There's a lot. We've done so much so far. What's lacking on this site?
I mean, I think right now the one thing I really haven't touched too much is the mobile, and you know, being that 80% of my users are going to be coming from mobile, I think we should dive into that and let's see, you know, how using strips has really made the process more efficient, right? So I'm going to just kind of move over into the mobile view, and we're going to see things look a little bit different than what we built them as, and it's okay. And I'm going to explain why. So the first, you know, section that you're going to see here is still going to have, you know, one column, you know, two columns and a third column. But I don't need all of these, of course. So I can start to actually delete the ones I don't need, right? So what's cool about it is I can just click on column 2, I can hide that. I can click on my column 3, I can hide that. And then I could decide what I want to have, you know, be in this first strip here. So I'll go ahead and I'll move my menu up here, which by the way, we actually have some really cool styles on different menus as well, like really cool styles that you can just choose and modify. So it's not just like a little hamburger menu now, like these are really kind of like really full-fledged. I can open it up and kind of show you just how it, you know, behaves, you know, just really like really sleek kind of design right there, right? Like just really nice style. Those are also new. What I could also do is kind of like resize up the header scroll, pop that where I want it to be. I could extend, you know, each section. And again, all my elements are grouped, so I can just click and drag instead of having to move every single one by one. Here's my, you know, gallery for glamping, super cool, right in line. And then down below, I have my, you know, contact section. All I have to do here is just literally extend it so you can see where it says type your message here, you know, and just like that. I mean, it's pretty much already optimized. And then down below, I don't need, again, this strip. I'm just clicking on delete, another keyboard shortcut. Maybe on my mobile, all I want them to see is the logo, and then we're good to go. So again, we really took a lot of time to just build out, you know, a site, but on the mobile, it took me what, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds to just kind of adjust it up.
Yeah, and Albert asked a great question. Can you change the way, change the way some things that are shown in mobile versus desktop? Can you remove certain things from mobile?
Yeah, so yeah, you can absolutely like just click on any element that you don't want. Like let's say, for example, you know, somebody's on mobile, they're probably not going to read like every single little line of text. So maybe on mobile, I don't need to have where it says experience our luxury villas. I can just click on hide the element, you know, keeping that extremely clean and straight to the point and emphasizing my call to action, right? So I can do that. And again, this does not affect, you know, my desktop site. All right, so again, just keeping things super easy to modify are really nice. Maybe down here on my contact section, I could probably go without, the leave your contact details section and just make a reservation. Again, super simple, and it's not going to affect anything. And I just have to extend that strip behind it, and just like that, we're good to go. All right, so
Great.
really easy to modify any of this, and it's really clean and really nice.
Here's a great question. Kareem, is there a way to preview tablet view?
All right, so yes, the question is really good. The solution is actually what you might already see in the actual editor. So even easier to understand it is to kind of like see how you build things. So I might have spoke about earlier how, we have grid lines that we have to abide by. So pretty much everything that's within the grid lines, within the 980 pixel width is going to be viewable on the tablet. So basically somebody on a tablet is pretty much going to see, everything to the far left as well as to the right dotted lines. So as long as it's within the grid line, that's the content that you'll see, right? So nothing on this site today will be cut off at all on a tablet device. As long as you follow my best practices and the ones that work best with Wix, you won't have an issue of it not being visible on a tablet or an iPad.
Well, I mean, by the way, that's probably another piece of gold nugget you just dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I see that question a lot from our partners in the community.
Yep. Yeah, it's super, super important. I mean, I think the goal is like to just make sure that no matter which environment you're building in, whether it be directly on the canvas, which you could do, but I'm not suggesting it. I'm saying use a strip. If you do use a strip, like always make sure like all the content is again within the grid lines, right? So on a tablet, what would I see in this fold? I would probably see just where it says make a reservation and the 100 pixels to the left and to the right. And the mountain range in the background, far left and far right, I wouldn't see. So it's only going to show me what's in the grid lines, which is why we always say important content, like things that people need to see, like they need to see that it's a place to make a reservation. So I wouldn't want to put, make a reservation here. It might look good design wise. If I did want to do that, I could do it, but I would have to shift things. I would have to go in and I would change my layout to the left alignment, right? And that's how we, again, break those boundaries and control what the user is seeing and what they're not seeing.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that really just sort of solidified some of the questions that Alejo and a few others had regarding that. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. I don't think it would be fair if I didn't show maybe some of the things that we could do, in the mobile as well. In addition to just being able to optimize, I think optimization is like a key thing that you should be able to do. So I want to give you some more things to take home with. So you kind of go into all the options that you see. Some really cool things is that your mobile background could be like different than the one that's actually on the desktop. And again, that could be a color, an image, or a video. In the mobile tools section, you can add a quick action bar. Again, so if you're doing a lead generation website and somebody's a contractor and they want to get people calling them up, emailing them, and going on social media, you can add all of these options, which by the way, are again, fully customizable, like different styles that you can easily just add, click, and customize, which I think is pretty cool. I kind of think this one looks best what we got today. Over in mobile tools also, a back to top button. So we built this one pager, and I know earlier that was a question. So we built it because we wanted to keep things simple, but on the mobile, we also wanted to be a possibility where if I'm looking at this, and I'm starting to scroll down, a user can click and easily kind of jump their way back up to the top, Yep. As you can see here, it's really nice. In addition, I also want to maybe have like a really cool mobile screen. This is really great if you happen to really be concerned about the image quality that you've uploaded, like if there are images that are kind of like a little bit larger, what you can do is you can actually customize like, a welcome screen. So I'm going to add my own logo here.
Now, this is important because this is something that a lot of people have asked, specifically site optimization, load speeds, how to optimize, right? So you're showing a pretty awesome trick here.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jenny says thanks. She's going to play in her editor right now. Some of these tips.
It's amazing.
Glad to hear that.
As you can see here, I can preview it and look how nice that would look. I mean, I'm on the web, I'm on the internet all the time, and I don't really see people doing this too much. So I think a good way to stand out, even with your own logo, or your partner badge, for example, super good ways to kind of be able to, just get that introductory, like that first impression is everything, so just really cool things you can do here to make it look really nice, click on done. And just like that, we're pretty much, doing things pretty nicely. Also, one thing that's also pretty cool is I can be able to change the color theme of my toolbar so that when it loads up, everything is super consistent in Google Chrome, all right, which is again, one of the most used browsers. And then again, having the option to, again, hide elements. We didn't talk too much about it, which is a good thing actually, because if I would have used this, then maybe I wasn't building the most efficient way. But if you ever get, mixed up and things become a little bit jumbled, you can actually go in and optimize your entire site. It'll do its best to kind of, figure out what you were trying to build and again, keep things a little bit more structured. But because today I use the best practices that you're probably going to see in life, the process was extremely easy. I didn't have to really go in here to optimize anything. But again, an option to click on if you ever get things kind of, mixed around and jumbled up, just click on optimize now and pretty much you'll see everything looking pretty good.
So we're there's so much information here, and we're running into a lot of time here, but I do want to, Anthony, if you'll stay just a little bit, we have a lot of Q&A. And if anybody has questions, specifically questions that Anthony can, because we've been active in the chat and been answering a lot of the questions. So I want to turn it over. If anybody wants to ask a question or something, and specifically, I'm looking for some, Anthony, since we've got a screen share up, I think it would be great if you could maybe demo some.
Okay, let's do it.
But I'm going to start with this one because this was a hot topic just a moment ago from everybody that's attending. What are some things we can do to optimize loading speed? There was a lot of questions regarding images that are being imported from Google Drive, Dropbox. Are there other places you can import? There's so many questions. So let's just talk right quick. Site optimization. What's something we can do?
I mean, so the first thing is like, it's always good to have a website that is beautifully designed, right? But it's also one thing to have a website that just has too much going on. And if there's any time that I feel like, site speed is affected is when we just overuse things that shouldn't be used that much, like, animations, right? Like, let's say if I wanted to see where it says like, explore the great outdoors, if I want this to be animated, it's okay to do it maybe here as a fade in. But if you do it every single section, and then you have icons that happen to be high resolution, and those are also animated. Just, think about like when you turn your computer on, right? And you got like 1,000 things that open up at the same time. Of course, the startup is going to be a lot slower than a computer that might be optimized with like a cool, 1 or 2 apps. So just think of that, as a computer starting up, right? Like you don't want tons of things to just kind of like hit, and say, hey, show me that, show me that. Things and, load and then they display. So if you have too many things that have to load, of course, your time to not only navigate the website, but also your initial load is going to be horrible. People leave websites, people look at websites for about 7 seconds. So if it takes you 7 seconds to look at nothing, you're going to leave, right? So that goes a little bit now into conversion, right? Into sales and things like that, which are going to be good for you and also your clients. So just keeping like, your animations limited to maybe 1 or 2, primarily in your introductory section. If you could hold off and maybe not have things like a video background or not on every single section of a photo, that would be great. In addition, if you do have images that are going to be a little bit of a higher quality, like you can use like tons of like free online tools and professional software as well to kind of like reduce, and compress those files, to as little as like 2 megabytes, and it'll still be a good image that won't really look that poor, at all. Apparently it'll actually look pretty good still. So you can really compress images, limit those number of animations, and that'll really just help your site load a lot quicker and have a more fluid experience. Yeah.
That's really nice. I want to say one thing, by the way. I want to thank everybody that did come, and I also want to let everybody know that this workshop that we did was really shaped by the questions that you asked before we went live, and so we tried to tailor this to some of your pre-questions, and you really impacted where we started with this. And there's a lot of other great questions that you've asked during this workshop that more than likely this gives us a great place to go for the next one. So I want to jump to another question, Anthony. I think you generated a lot of buzz from our participants when you started building and putting things outside of the grid lines. So will you go back and show us the grid lines and show us how you did it, why you did it, and what one would expect if they, what they would expect from the site if they do that? I just want to touch that one more time.
Awesome. So
That's
I think
a great question.
Exactly. So I think it's really good to know, like, what to do, right? I'll show you what not to do, and so that way you can also be guided on what not to do as well. So let's just say that I didn't add, this, strip here with this image, and I wanted to just kind of add content here. I'll take the same exact content and I'll paste it in the same position outside the grid lines. Of course, it's white, so I'll have to change the colors. But in this case, I'll actually just switch to my second theme, right? So no need to kind of toggle through my fonts here. I just switch my themes up. All right. And then what I'm going to do is just give you like a quick sample of like what would a user see if they went with this option. And they said, okay, what do I have to use a strip for? Like I can just pop it here. It's still aligned. It's still snapping to the logo right above it. It looks good on my preview. How could this possibly be wrong? You know, and I think, you know, what we can actually do here is I want to show you if I kind of like resize this down and maybe even use like a really cool tool that I like to show you what an iPad would look like. Look at how that would be cut off, right? See how that doesn't actually show me what everything says? Now let's go back and actually look at it and how it would be if I kept it on top of the strip like it should be. So I'm going to put it right back onto the strip, which has that left alignment.
Step back. Show us how you did that. Everybody wants to, nobody knows how you did that. Go back. Let's do that one more time.
All right, so
show us how you changed the screen size or the view size. Show us that again.
So I had it, you know, without a strip, and I'm using an external extension, right, to kind of show you how it would look if I was on a tablet mode or an iPad.
What is that?
All right, this is going to be Windows Resizer. Okay, it's a free thing you can use, and it's super useful. And it just helps me understand what the tablet will look like. Now, I know that if I design within the grid lines, you know, I'm pretty good. But I like to always just use this tool to kind of just be rest assured that I can tell my client, like, no, this will be, you know, perfectly viewed on an iPad. You know,
Is that
the only difference? I'm sorry.
You just triggered the participants. They are so excited about that tool. Is that available? Do you know anything about that? What was the name of it again?
A Windows Resizer, and you can actually download it as a Chrome extension. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All
right.
I think everybody really likes that more than anything. It's crazy. What a great tip. By the way, I do want to remind everybody, this has been such a fantastic workshop. Hundreds of y'all showed up. And tomorrow, don't forget, tomorrow we're also doing stores. We're going to talk all about Wix stores tomorrow and what you can do there for your clients. Super excited about that. They're asking for more. So I wanted to make sure that they did know that tomorrow we have one as well.
It's amazing. And I wanted to quickly show also that I'm going to take the same content, put it in the exact same position, but because it's on a strip, it's going to be visible. See the difference? And that's why we use strips. It's simple.
Wow. That right there is, I see so often, Anthony, the questions in our partner community is, it's sometimes about responsive, but this right here, this element is adaptive, and it looks so good.
The entire site, everything that I'm doing is 100% going to be viewable on iPad. So again, just use these best practices and you won't have the issue. It's simple. I mean, I built, you know, 168 websites in 2018, you know, and I had one client call me and tell me that they couldn't look at their website on an iPad. So, you know, these are, again, the best practices.
This is fantastic. I'm loving this. There's so many great questions. By the way, the webinar the workshop for tomorrow has been dropped. So go ahead and make sure that you register for it. I think Aviva just put that in there. So it is happening.
Nice.
Okay. We are way over, but
one tool that I want to quickly show in terms of like just streamlining your work process, your handoff when you want to get feedback for clients is to be able to go into site, click on get feedback. And you can actually give this link out to any clients that you work with, and they'll be able to actually like pinpoint, you know, certain sections of the website that they wanted, you know, some feedback on, you know, or they wanted to make changes on. So they'll say, hey, look, you know, I don't like this section too much. Maybe they can add a comment with their name and actually pinpoint exact sections that they want to modify. And you get an email, and it also will live in your dashboard with all the modifications that you want to do. So, I mean, I'll leave you guys with that. I hope you enjoyed today, and I hope you enjoy the following webinars that are soon to come.
So I have to say, Anthony, I think there was just so much information here.
Yeah.
My head's a little exploded. There were probably, I think there were 5 distinct moments where you talked about something that I think absolutely really made it such a gold nugget of information. So for everybody that for everybody that came and saw this and participated, I'm so glad. This will be available afterwards. Don't worry, we will send you a link in your email, so be expecting that. And let's do it again. I think we're doing it tomorrow with stores, and if again, your feedback, your questions really, really shape this. So maybe for the next one, Anthony, if we can strong arm you into doing another one, this was really great.
Awesome.
Awesome. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Anthony, for taking the time and showcasing this some amazing tools within Wix. And we hope that you, everybody participating goes forward and makes the most amazing websites for yourself and your clients. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming.